So first things first, I want to talk about the Alabama baseball team. I actually waited till Sunday afternoon to record this because I was waiting until the Alabama Presbyterian game ended. Unfortunately, it did not end in favor of the good guys. Alabama dropped its first loss of the season to Presbyterian. They had actually ruled Presbyterian in the two other games earlier this weekend on Friday and Saturday to get out to a 16-0 start, the best start Alabama baseball has ever had. Alabama has just been swinging the bats absolutely incredibly well and has won a lot of really big games. They were able to eke out some wins to start the season, and then when they were in their tournament in Jacksonville, they played three really good teams. Coastal Carolina, they win by a score of 9-2. They beat, at the time, number 15 NC State by 5-0, and then they beat, in what was an incredible comeback, a game that I actually was able to catch a good bit of, Ohio State by a score of 12-10. And this was a situation where that Ohio State game, Alabama was down 10-0, and Alabama, just kept, fighting back. And then Will Hodo hits a 3-run bomb to win the game in the ninth inning. Was just an absolutely incredible game, an absolutely incredible comeback to win that tournament there in Jacksonville. And, obviously it helps catapult them into the start in which Alabama's had to start this season. That's one of the best starts that the best start Alabama baseball has ever had. They sweep North Dakota State last week. And then this week they actually also had another big win. And for those of you in the state of Alabama, you may not think this is as big a win as it is, especially if you don't follow college baseball, but Alabama beat Troy by a score of 3-1. And Troy is a top 20 team. This is a team that's going to compete to potentially host a regional this year. It's a team that you do not want to see as your number 2 in your regional if you're hosting yourselves. This is a really, really good baseball team, and Alabama is able to beat them by a score of 3-1, right? So, just really like what you're seeing out of the baseball team. When you talk about Alabama baseball, especially this year, there's nobody bigger and nobody better on campus, you can argue, than Justin Lebron. He currently leads the country in RBIs. As of this recording, he has 11 home runs. I'm not sure how the rest of the country shaped out. He was previously tied for first place in home runs. He had a couple this weekend, so I would expect him to be, near around the top of the country in home runs again still. But with 11 home runs, and as of this recording, he has 43 RBIs through just 17 games. So, just absolutely, as you say, seeing a beach ball in the batter's box, right? Every time, ball comes to him, he's just absolutely knocking the cover off of it, putting the ball in play. Teams are having to pitch around him whenever possible. A lot of intentional walks, I'm sure, are going to be coming his way throughout the season, especially against some of these weaker teams. When you get into SEC play, you're going to have some pitchers that are going to want to face him one-on-one, and we'll see how that ends up working out, right? But, LeBron's not the only guy that's been having success at the plate. You have three other guys. LeBron's actually hitting 394, but you have three other guys hitting over 400. Hodo, that we mentioned earlier, that hit the 3-run bomb to win that Ohio State game's hitting 417. A couple other guys, Richie Balamalo Jr. is hitting 407, and Cade Snell hitting 403, right? So really just wanted to record this. I'm not, by any means considering this a full comprehensive Alabama baseball breakdown or preview. I would be interested. I may reach out to some people that I know are much bigger baseball fans and that know much more about the team than I do, just to get some of their recaps, kind of midway through the season after we've been able to have a few SEC conference series. That actually starts this next weekend in College Station. Alabama's going to go play Texas A&M, formerly the number 1 team in the country. They had an injury to their third baseman, preseason All-American. But, this is still a really good baseball team. There's a reason they were ranked number 1 in the country. Alabama goes to face them in College Station this next weekend, and I'm sure it will be an incredibly tough series. But Alabama is, gonna have to prove their best to be able to win in this conference, right? A couple of polls have Alabama ranked at 23, as they're as high as 17th for the USA Today poll. But in the polls in which Alabama is ranked 23, they're 23rd in the country and 14th in the SEC. Or sorry, 12th in the SEC. That's just how good the SEC is in baseball. For those of you that, watch this channel, pay attention to SEC basketball. We've talked about how good the SEC is in basketball, and they absolutely are. They're an absolutely incredible basketball conference. They're even better in baseball, right? When you look at the baseball side of the house, Florida in some polls is ranked seventh in the country, and they're fifth in the SEC, right? Four of the top five are all SEC teams. That's how good this conference is in baseball, and it's just on another level. So when you see Alabama getting off to this hot of a start, especially in non-conference play, that's really good to see. We will see how it continues rolling when you get into SEC conference play. I'm sure you're going to have some tougher series. You're going to have some series in which you're not going to be able to just outslug the opposing team. You're going to have to actually have some situational baseball, some timely base hits, good eyes in the batter's box, etc., to be able to win some of these games. So I will be obviously keeping track of that. That is something that I want to cover. I know I cover a lot of Alabama football and basketball, for good reason, but I wanted to shout the guys out for an absolutely incredible start. Really, really good to see. And like I said, with LeBron just playing absolutely out of his mind, I thought that it really was worth shouting out and was something that needed to be discussed. So that's what I want to talk about on the baseball side of the house. Obviously, by no means was this a comprehensive thing of everything that Alabama baseball has going on. Like I said, I may talk to some people that I know that follow the team a little more closely than I do and see if I can get them on the pod. But, just wanted to talk about and give them the shout out that they deserve. So we're going to move over to the SEC basketball tournament, and then we'll get out of here.